My name is Robert Hayes, retired Coast Guard. What I'm about to tell you happened in October 2019, and I haven't been the same since that night. I was assigned temporary maintenance duty at Point Mercy Lighthouse off the coast of Maine. Standard routine: 2-day check, inspect the system, write your report, go home. I'd done it dozens of times in my 20-year career, but Point Mercy was different. It sat on a small rocky island, half a mile offshore. It had been running automated since 1952, and maintenance rarely caused problems, until the previous keeper, Marcus Webb, suddenly resigned. HR didn't give me much information, just said personal reasons. The weird thing was this: Marcus was an experienced technician with a perfect record. Why would he leave without notice, without any explanation? I arrived at the island on October 29th. The weather was cold and foggy. The Coast Guard boat dropped me off and pulled away through the waves. They'd be back in 2 days. The lighthouse's stone structure loomed in front of me, 12 stories high, cracked painted walls, rusted metal stairs. The wind was howling and waves crashed against the rocks. The first few hours were routine. I checked the generator, measured the backup fuel, tested the light mechanism. Everything was running fine. At 6 p.m., I radioed base. Point Mercy, system check complete. I'll send the final report tomorrow evening. There was an old metal cabinet in the keeper's room. Inside were books, magazines, and a logbook left by previous keepers. Out of curiosity, I opened the journal. It was Marcus Webb's handwriting. The first pages were ordinary. System normal, weather clear, equipment check completed. But as I turned the pages, the tone changed. October 15th. Something strange happened last night. October 18th. The light went out again. 3rd time this week. I checked the mechanism, nothing's wrong, but it shuts off by itself at midnight. October 21st. There's someone in the basement, I know it. At night I hear movement sounds, metal scraping, footsteps, sometimes breathing, but every time I check, it's empty. The last entry was October 23rd, 2 days before he left. I'm leaving tonight, I can't stay anymore, it looks like me. I turned the page. On the back was a single word, written so hard the page was torn: run. I closed the journal, my hands shaking. Marcus had clearly had a panic attack. Isolation stress was real. Being alone for weeks inside this small tower was mentally exhausting. I gave myself the logical explanation. Marcus was tired, stressed, started having hallucinations. These things happen, but there was a small doubt inside me. That last sentence, "it looks like me." What did he mean? At 8 p.m., I made a simple dinner: canned soup and bread. Outside, the storm was intensifying. The waves hit the base of the lighthouse so hard, the whole structure vibrated. The wind whistled through the metal stairs. Normal sounds for normal things, I told myself. An old building on a stormy night. Physics. At 10 p.m., I was getting ready for bed when the lights flickered. A second later, complete darkness. The lighthouse beam went out too. First time I'd ever experienced this on duty. I reached for my flashlight and headed down to the generator room. As I descended the metal stairs, the echo of my footsteps circled inside the tower. Every step creaked. When I reached the 3rd floor, I stopped. I'd heard something. Under my footsteps, other footsteps, coming from above. Slow, deliberate steps. "Hello?" I called out. My voice bounced off the empty walls. "Is anyone there?" Silence. Then a door creaked. Upstairs, in the keeper's room, but I'd just come from there, and I'd closed the door. I climbed quickly, my heart pounding in my chest. 4th floor, 5th, 6th. When I reached the keeper's room, the door was wide open. I looked inside with my flashlight, empty, but the journal on the desk was open. I was sure I'd left it closed, and there was a new entry, in my handwriting. "First night, the sounds have started. Someone's downstairs. But I hadn't written this. I hadn't. My hands trembling, I closed the journal. I was seeing things, fatigue, stress. I'd read Marcus's notes. They'd planted themselves in my mind. I was imitating my own handwriting without realizing it. Crash, downstairs from the basement. The sound of metal falling, then dragging. Something was moving in the basement. I grabbed my radio. Base, this is Point Mercy. Emergency. Static, just noise. The storm must have cut communication. I was alone. Another sound, this time closer. From the second floor, footsteps on the metal stairs, steady, heavy, coming up. I closed the door and locked it, turned off my flashlight, waited in the darkness, holding my breath. The footsteps got closer. 4th floor, 5th floor, 6th floor. Stopped at my door. The handle slowly turned. The lock held. Then a clicking sound. The lock was opening, but I'd locked it from inside. How could it open from outside? The door slowly opened. Nobody was in the hallway. But when I stood by the mirror, I saw it. My own reflection. But my reflection was smiling. I wasn't smiling. I backed away, my back hitting the wall. My reflection stayed in the mirror, just staring at me. That smile, my face, but the expression was wrong, too wide, too off. The eyes were my eyes, but something was missing inside them. Soul? Humanity? I don't know what to call it. I moved away from the mirror. My reflection didn't move. No, I whispered. No, this isn't real. I'm tired. I'm hallucinating. But my reflection answered, spoke in my voice. Robert, you finally came. I ran from the room, down the stairs, stumbling, almost falling. At each floor, I looked out the windows. Maybe I could see a boat, call for help. But outside was just darkness and waves. The storm had intensified. I reached the basement. It was filled with old equipment, rope coils, paint cans, spare parts. I swept my flashlight around. In the corner was something, covered, a large thing hidden under an old tarp. I lifted the tarp. A mirror, a huge mirror, frame rusted, surface stained. But I could see the reflection. And my reflection was there again, staring at me. Marcus saw me too, my reflection said. He lasted 3 weeks. Can you be stronger? What are you? I asked. I'm what you're supposed to be, the real Robert Hayes. You're just a copy, a shadow. The real one is inside, behind the mirror. I've always been here, and I want to get out. I stepped back, but there was a metal shelf behind me. I was trapped. My reflection, that thing, was approaching in the mirror, but I wasn't moving. It was walking toward me from inside the mirror. Marcus didn't understand, it said. He tried to run, but you can't run, because I am already you. Hands appeared in the mirror. My hands, pushing through the surface, the glass like water. Fingers emerged, then hands, arms. I threw the tarp back over the mirror and ran. Behind me came sounds, laughter, my laughter, but twisted, distorted. I climbed to the lighthouse's main level, where the light mechanism was. Glass panels surrounded me. I could see the storm outside. I ran to the control panel. I needed to start the backup generator. If there was light, maybe I could think, make a plan. I turned the key. The generator rumbled and started. The lights flickered and came on. The lighthouse's great lamp rotated to life, throwing a white beam into the darkness every 6 seconds. Footsteps on the stairs, getting closer. I tried the radio again. Mayday, Mayday, this is Point Mercy Lighthouse. Need emergency assistance, Mayday. Static, then a voice, my voice. Robert, why are you afraid? I just want to come home. I looked up. It was standing at the top of the stairs. Me. Exact same clothes, same face, same everything. But that smile, that horrible, wide smile. You're not real, I said. I'm you, it said. The real one, you're just temporary like Marcus was, and the one before him, and the one before that. The lighthouse calls us all, shows us our true faces, and then the change. It walked toward me. I backed toward the window. I had nothing in my hands. No weapon, no tools, just my flashlight and the journal. Marcus's journal was still in my pocket. I quickly pulled it out and looked through the pages. The last entries, those frantic scribbles. But in one of them was something. A small note in the margin. If mirror breaks, connection severed. 1952 accident. Sailors threw ship debris at glass. Lighthouse mirror shattered. Nobody disappeared that night. The year the lighthouse went automatic. Before that, there were keepers, and there were missing keepers. That thing, my reflection, stopped a meter away. You understand now, don't you? Every reflection has a source. You're the mirror, Robert. I'm the real one. And this time, I'm getting out. It reached out its hand. I ran. Not toward it, toward the control panel. The backup battery station was there, heavy metal case. I lifted it, forgot how heavy it was, and threw it. It hit the glass panel. It was safety glass, didn't break, didn't even crack. No! The thing screamed. Its voice was distorting, shifting to an inhuman pitch. I tried again, grabbed the fire extinguisher, heavy metal cylinder, and smashed it against the glass panel. Once, twice. On the third, hit a crack formed. On the fourth, the glass shattered. The light went out. Everything shut down. Darkness, then a scream. In my voice, but twisted, stretching, like it was being pulled somewhere. It grew fainter, moved away, disappeared. Silence. I sat on the floor, breathing hard, glass shards scattered around me. My flashlight was still on. I swept it around. I was alone. Truly alone. At dawn, the Coast Guard boat came. The captain was surprised by the state of the tower. Broken windows, scattered equipment. They asked what happened. The storm, I said. High winds broke a glass panel. It was a long night. They wrote the report, examined me. Nothing but mild hypothermia. They marked the lighthouse for closure and restoration. But before leaving, I went down to the basement one more time. The mirror was still there under the tarp. I held my flashlight over it. The surface was empty. Just old, stained glass. No reflection, nothing. I covered it back with the tarp. At the dock, a Coast Guard officer approached me. Mr. Hayes, we'll need to assign a new keeper to the lighthouse. Would you be interested? No, I said immediately. No, thank you. I'll continue my retirement. Since that day, I never make prolonged eye contact with mirrors. And at night, sometimes I hear sounds. Footsteps. My footsteps, but in the wrong rhythm, like someone's trying to learn to imitate my walk, but can't quite get it right. Marcus's last note is still with me. It looks like me. Now I understand. Looks like, but it's not. Never will be. Point Mercy Lighthouse is closed now, permanently. Official records say structural issues. I know the truth. Some lights don't just illuminate. Some lights reflect, and some reflections stare back. I need to tell you what happened on the night of February 15th, 2024, because no one believes me. I told the police. My family took me to a psychiatrist. Still, no one believes me, but it's real. Every word is real. I work as an accounting manager in the 42-story Hartwell building on Madison Avenue in Manhattan. That night, because it was tax season, I stayed late. I left my office at 11:47 p.m. The building was almost empty. The only person there was Jerry, the security guard, sitting at the lobby desk. I got into the middle elevator, elevator B. I pressed lobby. The doors closed. The elevator started descending normally. The numbers changed on the display. 37, 36, 35. I was checking emails on my phone. Then something felt wrong. The ride was taking too long. I looked up. The screen showed 12, then 11, then 10. Still normal. But when it reached the lobby, it didn't stop. The display changed to -1. The basement, still no stop. -2. -3, -4. I shouted and pressed buttons. None of them lit up. I hit the emergency button. Nothing. No alarm. The elevator kept going. -10, -20, -30. My phone had no signal. None at all. Each floor was about 13 feet. I was going far deeper than any subway tunnel in Manhattan. 40. The elevator slowed, then stopped. The display read, -43. Total silence. I couldn't even hear the motor. Then came a ding. The doors opened. Outside the elevator was a long, narrow corridor. Bare concrete walls, a low ceiling, flickering fluorescent lights, casting a sickly green glow. Half of them didn't work. I didn't step out. I waited for the doors to close. "Go up," I whispered, "and please go up." Footsteps echoed from the far end of the corridor. Slow, steady, someone was coming. I slammed the buttons. Nothing worked. A shadow appeared around the corner, and suddenly the doors snapped shut. The elevator jolted and began rising. I collapsed to my knees, gasping for air. The display climbed. -42, -30, -10, basement, lobby. The doors opened. I was back in the lobby, but Jerry was gone. The lobby was silent. Everything looked the same. Couches, plants, desk, but it was covered in dust, like no one had been there for weeks. I ran to the glass doors and looked outside. The street was dark, no streetlights, no cars. Buildings stood like black silhouettes, every window unlit. The sky was wrong, no moon, no stars, just a dull, gray-red emptiness. The doors were locked. My phone still had no signal. The time read 11:52. Only 5 minutes had passed. Then I heard it behind me. "Jessica." The elevator doors opened, all 3 of them, and they were not empty. I ran for the stairs. I didn't think, I just moved. The emergency exit door slammed open and I threw myself inside, taking the steps, 2 at a time. My heels slipped against the concrete. My lungs burned almost instantly. I reached the 2nd floor and pushed the door open. The hallway was wrong. It looked like the lobby, empty, dusty, abandoned. Office doors lined the walls, but their glass panels were shattered. Inside, there was nothing. No desks, no computers, just hollow rooms, like the building had been stripped down to its shell. I heard footsteps below me, not one pair, many. They were climbing, steady, even, no rush, no hesitation. I ran again, 5th floor, 10th, 15th. My legs were shaking. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. I couldn't tell how long I'd been running. The stairwell felt endless, like the floors were stretching. The footsteps never slowed. They stayed the same distance behind me, no matter how fast I ran. I reached another floor and had to stop. I pressed my back against the wall, trying to breathe. The footsteps reached the landing below, then the same level. A figure stepped into the corridor. It was me. Same clothes, same face, same hair. But the movement was wrong, too precise. Every step identical, left, right, left, right. "Jessica," it said gently, "you're exhausted. You need to go home." "You're not me," I said, my voice shaking. It smiled, my smile, but its eyes were empty. "I'm what you were meant to be. You don't belong here." More footsteps echoed in the stairwell. More of them were coming. I turned and ran, up, higher, toward the only place I knew, the 38th floor, my office. The corridor was normal, familiar. The lights were on, the walls were clean. Nameplates were still on the office doors. Everything was exactly where it should have been. I ran into my office and shut the door behind me. My desk was there, my computer, my files. Nothing had been disturbed. I went straight to the window. Manhattan was alive. Streetlights glowed, cars moved through the intersections. People walked along the sidewalks. Noise, light, reality. My knees gave out and I collapsed to the floor, crying, quietly, uncontrollably for longer than I realized. I checked my phone. I had signal, 3 bars. The time was 11:56 p.m. I called Jerry. I saw you leave the building at 11:35, he said. No, I told him. I'm still here, 38th floor. There was a pause. Then he said he was coming up. I waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The door opened. It wasn't Jerry, it was me. Same face, same voice, calm, controlled. You need to go back, it said. -43 was yours. I backed away and ran to the window, threw it open, and screamed for help. People on the street stopped, looked up, took out their phones. The thing stepped back. Its expression never changed. When the police arrived, I was alone in the office. Security footage showed me leaving the building, calm, ordinary, unmistakably me. The psychiatrist said stress, overwork, dissociation, prescribed medication. But I know the truth. I don't use elevators anymore. I take the stairs every day, 38 floors, and sometimes in the mirror, my reflection moves a second too late. At night, I hear footsteps outside my bedroom. The doorknob turns, but it hasn't opened yet.